It was the first day of pads. So what does that mean for this Broncos team, Mace?
Truths begin being revealed. That's what happens when the pads go on.
Truth serum.
Yes. We start to see who is hot and who is not.
Yes. And we start to see what coach likes, maybe what he doesn't like. That and more. Today's program. Orange and Blue today, Cecil, Lammey, Andrew Mason, talking about your Denver Broncos and talking about the first day of pads, and Bo Nix ran in 7-on-7.
Oh, no.
And Sean was happy. Sean was happy about it.
Wait. All right. There was a scramble later in practice for 40 yards. I think that's the run about which he was happy.
Well, then, should he be unhappy about Bo running in 7-on-7? Listen, if we're going to say it for Zach, we're going to say it for Bo, and both you and I hate it. But if Sean doesn't hate it, I mean, I guess he talked about Bo making smart decisions. We actually have the clip, but like, I thought we would get snarky Sean today. We got happy Sean today.
Well, I think he was more focused on the team, the team rep than the 7-on-7 rep there. It was a ragged 7-on-7 period for Bo Nix. That's where practice began. 2 of 3 when he actually passed the ball. Everything was short. The one short pass that he missed, it was overthrown looking for Jaleel McLaughlin on a quick out to the left side.
Do you know what happened on that play, in my opinion?
What do you think?
On that play that was overthrown to Jaleel, I think, like, motion-wise, it looked like Josh was going to be open against Surtain on that one route that he seems to get open against Surtain. And at the last second, Bo decided to go to Jaleel because they were in the same region of the field. Can't give away the play design. But this is just me guessing, Mace.
Yeah. This is you guessing. This is me talking.
To Jaleel instead of going to Josh. That's just me guessing on that play.
Did you lose me? I lost you.
I seem to be okay here.
Okay. All right. So you thought he wasn't looking for Jaleel. He was looking for Josh.
That's why it was wildly off for Bo. We don't see him like that off. It was wild.
Surprisingly off. Yeah. Actually, of the 3 quarterbacks, the one who I thought actually looked the best in that 7-on-7 period was Zach Wilson, who wasn't done a favor by some catchable passes being dropped.
Yes.
And also, Jarrett Stidham had a pass get dropped too. So
was that the Sills one?
No, the Stidham one. It was not really a drop. It was kind of off of Marvin Mims Jr.'s hand, and it was the thing about that play was Stidham kind of hung the ball up too much.
Yep.
If it had a little bit less arc on it, you're talking about a touchdown. You can't. He moonballed it a bit, and that's where the Sills one. That was one. It went off his hands, and then Thomas Yasmin dropped a short pass from Zach Wilson. You had back-to-back drops. Otherwise, Zach Wilson is perfect in 7-on-7. Look, I think we tell the truth. Even if it doesn't fit a narrative, we're not about narratives. We're about telling you what's going on. That period. Although Bo Nix did rebound, I thought the best, at least in 7-on-7, the best quarterback out there was Zach Wilson. I thought that did change over the course of practice.
Yeah, and I think Jarrett Stidham on that throw to Mims, he kind of loaded up for it.
Yeah.
So he didn't really let it rip, but he loaded up for it. He took an extra little half beat to throw it, and then it was just too far out. Yeah. It just hung up too much. So
yeah.
Wasn't a good day for the offense. Some drops and a lot of pressures, and Ben Powers. My God, Ben Powers.
Well, not only that, it wasn't good pre-snap. You had false starts. Now, you actually had a couple of offsides on the defense at one point. At one point, there was a moment where Jarrett Stidham, after a defensive offside, because there aren't refs on hand to throw flags, he took his towel, he threw it down as if it was a flag, and then went and ran the play. So
he's got some chutzpah, that one.
He does. But yeah, Ben Powers, man. The Zach Allen cooked him pretty good today.
Yeah, we're gonna do an OBT2 on the defense, but the false starts and the snaps were getting late. Sometimes defense was winning on the first day of Pats.
Yeah,
that's for sure. And Gage says it here in the. I would say overall today was the weakest day for Bo. That wasn't a great day for Bo. The scramble at the end was fun.
Yes,
that's about it.
And it was a good decision. Okay, and look, early in Bo Nix's career, part of the success equation is going to involve taking off and running. And what that'll do, if that bears itself out as a legitimate threat, a legitimate club in his bag, as it were, then you're going to see defenses become more cautious. They're going to sacrifice a little bit in coverage and in the pass rush. That's going to either A, give him time, or B, create some openings, especially short to intermediate. So having that there will open things up early as he grows as a quarterback. That's why it's a reason why you want to lean it. Go ahead and maybe lean into the scrambling early as a quarterback gets his feet wet. I mean, take a look at Patrick Mahomes, for example. Mahomes relied more on his legs in his first starts than he does now. It's part of the evolution. You can say the same thing for Josh Allen in Buffalo. By having that, it allows you to throw something different at an opposing defense until you evolve as a pocket passer and being able to do things at a high level from the pocket.
Yeah. Well, you're hoping that evolution happens because it didn't happen for Cam. I'm not even seeing it yet with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
So if Josh Allen's going to be the new Cam Newton, that's because he didn't evolve.
Yeah, I think we see him lean on the pocket, on being in the pocket more than certainly back in 2019. I remember that when the Broncos played up in Buffalo that year, and things happened because he ran. Now with Josh Allen, he still has that in his game, but it's a little more of a secondary tool than a primary tool.
It needs to be that way as you evolve in the National Football League. Let's hear from Coach talking about Nix scrambling and what he thought of that big run.
No, I mean, we're looking to throw in the pocket, but we're also looking to make smart decisions with the football. And I said this, I think a few days ago. All three of these guys have good mobility, and so. Look, the pocket in our league is not always clean. And so when it gets dirty at times, then you have to be reactionary. And your teammates have to as well. And so it goes along to that point that was asked a little bit earlier. He's being smart with the football, and it's a strength of his.
Strength of his is running. Look at those legs, Mace.
Yeah, that run, which probably could have been about, I would say, 40 yards scramble. No, because Pat Surtain pulls up on the play.
But it's 15, right?
It's 15 or 20. It's going to move the chains. That can be an effective part of this offense. It can be an effective part of his game. It's going to keep a defense honest. I'm perfectly okay with that. Again, I don't really want to see it in 7-on-7 because part of the point of 7-on-7 is picking the option that has the best chance of success and riding it. And let's face it, if you take off running and there's no offensive line, no defensive line, it feels like cheating.
Right.
I mean, remember back when we play like in the street, and we weren't tackling and there's no offensive line. Everyone's going out for a pass. Like that's what it feels like. So
yeah. Can't do it that way, and you got to learn and you got to make a decision as a thrower. But pads come on, and Nix wasn't as sharp as we normally have seen him. And today was that day for the defense to win. I think it was Cody that asked Coach about like when pads come on, the defense usually wins. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. We've seen especially this movie before.
The first day, definitely.
Right. Yeah. We've seen this movie before. Payton talked, I'll play the first one, about pads coming on.
I think a lot more. And there's been so many cases that I can recall where the pads defined a player positively and sometimes negatively. But what you typically see early on with pads, and we're going to watch it on tape. Today our pad level, I'm sure, is going to be higher than we want it to be, both offensively and defensively. And I'm talking about the interior lines, but it's significantly different.
Significantly different. It's different today.
Yeah.
Huh. You owe me a soda.
This is why we're going to do a second show talking about the defensive line tonight.
Yeah.
Because the dynamic completely changed. And you saw, very little room to run. There was one play, Jaleel McLaughlin gets met as he gets the handoff.
Yep.
Had no shot whatsoever. It reminded me of that play where Melvin Gordon got blown up last game of the season, last game of the Vic Fangio tenure, January 2022. And Gordon fumbles, and literally the fumble happened because he was met right as he got the handoff. He didn't have a chance to. He didn't have a chance to take the ball in. So, of course, I think that was Albert O who missed that block. Shock.
It happens. I want to talk about the Jaleel run that was a little bit after that, Mace, where he gets kind of walloped at the second level. He gets about 5 yards into the run,
yes,
gets walloped, and
mm-hmm.
he doesn't finish. I was so sad because every day Jaleel finishes everything. He finishes everything. He got walloped. He just got back up and went to the huddle. I was like, oh, God.
It's the first day of full pads, full contact, right?
They were closing holes, man.
Everyone's got to adjust, including the running backs who've got to get back up when they get knocked down and finish.
Yep. That's what they were doing. And it was fun to watch if you like thud and football. It was not fun to watch if you like offensive football, because the offense did not win today. The drops, the thuds, the closed up rushing lanes, the handoffs that you can't even get to, like everything was a bit out of sort.
Yeah, it was a mess. It was a mess, but let's see where it is tomorrow. Let's see where it is Wednesday. Let's see how they adjust. There's always kind of a move and counter move, right? Let's see what happens after this. What happens next? It's a bad day, but it doesn't have to be a trend. When you worry is if we're sitting there 5 days from now and it's like, well, the offense never got it together. If we're having this same conversation when we're doing our show on Saturday, you got problems. Something's beeping. Something's going off here. Like
I was gonna say, you got a microwave or a cell phone or what?
It's something on the text chain reacting to the Madden rankings. The Broncos do not have a top 45 receiver in the Madden rankings.
Okay.
For what?
Tell them they're disrupting our show. That's on the other text chain that I'm not on.
Yes.
Thank goodness. I don't like group texts. I don't like group texts. Sorry. That's just me. Don't like them.
Will, James, you're disrupting the show.
Yes. Literally interrupting our program. Orange and Blue today. Cecil, Lammey, Andrew Mason. I'm going to play this next one from Sean Payton, and then we'll discuss him talking about more on pads coming on today.
What I think begins to take place is you begin to see days where one side of the ball or the other gets the better in practice. The thing you got to balance is the head coach, regardless of whether you're a head coach involved in the offense or the defense, is growth on both sides of the ball. And so, we had some snap count. We had, a handful of things that we have to get cleaned up. But that can be true early on with pads.
There you go. Spoken like somebody who is in his 17th training camp as a head coach.
Okay.
And look, we talk about it every year. Every year, defense is ahead of the offense. Even if the offense is great and the defense is bad, folks, there were years when Peyton Manning was the quarterback and he was at peak efficiency. And when the pads went on, the defense took the measure of Peyton Manning and company. Even in 2013, when the offense ended up being an all-timer, unlike anything we've ever seen until the Super Bowl. Splat. By the way, there's a history of like all-time great offenses going kerplunk in the Super Bowl. You know,
Carolina was rolling through everybody until Super Bowl 50.
New England, and when the Patriots came to the Super Bowl unbeaten.
Yep.
Atlanta had an all-time offense.
Actually, Dan Marino, and the only Super Bowl ever played in.
Yeah. Really kind of, I mean, even like with the Rams in 2001 in particular, when they came in against the Patriots, what? I mean, they only put up 17 points. Like it's really interesting. The year the Rams won it all with Kurt Warner and the Greatest Show on Turf, their defense, I believe, was number 6 in the league. So they had
some ballers on that side of the ball. That's for sure.
Yes.
The 0-1 thing, I'm snarky because I'm like, they were cheating. They knew Marshall Faulk. They knew Marshall Faulk was going to get what.
Did you lose me or did I lose you? We'll find out. I'm going to keep talking here, as Cecil was saying something about Marshall Faulk. I don't know what he was saying. I don't know what he was going to finish with here on Orange and Blue today. So anyway, but yes, even all-time offenses can struggle early in training camp like the Broncos did. So you don't get concerned about it today. You get concerned about it if this ends up persisting over the course of an entire training camp. You get concerned if it's the trend. Like you look back, say a couple of years ago, for example. Look back, and the offense looked clunky. Turned out it was the sign of something bad to come. That's the thing. Now that being said, then the other side of that is it can go well, but if you're not testing, if you're not probing, if you're not willing to try and take some risks and make some mistakes, you can give what Vic Fangio called the false positive. And that, of course, was the 2018 training camp with Case Keenum not having an interception throughout camp because he wasn't testing the defense.
Nope.
There you go.
I'm not testing my internet, or I'm getting Starlink. I'm going to have a strongly worded letter for Xfinity.
Are you using the guest network, or are you?
Yeah, I know. That's why I double check. I was like, oh my God, connect to the right thing. Connect to the right thing.
Well, I mean, there's a way around that,
Hardwire.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll get the hardwire out. It's right there for the radio equipment. So, a little behind the scenes note for
there's a comment about making mistakes now instead of in games. That's part
Edward had that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like there's something to that. Peyton Manning would have interceptions in training camp. Like he'd have multiple interception days sometimes. Some of that involved testing the receivers, testing the windows that you need. I'd say you're probably not at that level of maturity in terms of where the offense is going and where the quarterbacks are right now. So it's a little bit different. You do want them to build some confidence.
Yeah. Wade Skywalker asks, why was Tim Patrick on the bike today? Veteran rest day. And, it wasn't Dulcich. I think that would be more of a story if Dulcich was on the bike compared to Timmy Pats, who was on the bike.
Yeah. I mean, when you're talking about 2 years of injuries for Tim Patrick, and if there's a concern, it's that he did 4 days and now he basically kind of got 2 days in a row, right? So maybe there's a concern that he needed that after an off day. Long term. In the short term, doesn't appear there's any real worry. That being said, the tale is told when pads go on. Tim Patrick did have a nice play on Saturday when he got open and caught the ball about 20 yards down the left sideline. But I'd say right now he appears to be very much on the bubble at wide receiver.
Talent. A lot of talent.
What did you say? Talent at wide receiver and the wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There are going to be some tough cuts there. I mean, I'm not sure if I'm making my 53 today if he's on it.
Preseason games will be big for him.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Because you can't replace that experience. He does have a ton. He has a lot of savvy, but all the savvy in the world doesn't necessarily help when you're coming off first a torn ACL and then a torn Achilles. I mean, 2 significant injuries back-to-back years. Everybody's rooting for him. I hope he can start to make some more plays. Again, positive sign that he made that play on Saturday, but probably need to see a bit more going forward from him. But there's a ways to go.
Yeah.
It's still very much in flux.
Very much in flux. Our buddy Gage says he liked what he saw from Mike McGlinchey today. A couple of nice reps versus Baron Brownie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, because they did one-on-ones today as well.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I think McGlinchey's going to have a much better season than they did last year. Part of it's going to be familiarity with the scheme. The other thing, it's a reason why. It's a reason why I asked him about year 2 in this when he talked. Do we have that? Do we have that soundbite? Let's play that. I asked him about this, and part of the reason I asked him is because when I spoke with offensive line coach Zach Street last month, he talked about how he is expecting a jump from both Ben Powers and Mike McGlinchey, the 2 guys who came over in free agency last year, when they get here for a second year in the scheme. Here's what Mike had to say.
Well, certainly to start fast this year and not have the hiccups that we had early in the season last year. I think everybody feels more comfortable, especially up front, myself included, and just the overall consistency of the game. I think it just has to be, play in, play out, block your guy, right? Like it's just do your job over and over and over again as best as you can do it. And that's all I've ever tried to do. But certainly with 1 year of familiarity of an offensive line coach, a play caller, certainly have a better feel for what's going on. So just take a step forward in the overall consistency and be the best I can be.
I'd say he looks like he's more comfortable. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Powers, his fellow 2023 free agent class member, this was a bad day for him. And I don't think it was necessarily some great days for him last week either. And I think after some, I don't think he had a bad season last year, but it felt like his bad moments were magnified. And it was a surprise to see him get pushed back at times the way he was. So when you see it today, I think you're a little bit concerned when he's getting beat quickly off the snap and the run play of which he's a part is effectively DOA.
Yeah, and I think maybe with his inflated salary, people would assume like, oh, he's going to fix left guard. Not that Dalton Risner was terrible, but Risner definitely leveled off and started going down after that rookie season.
I would say not even after that rookie season. Remember when he had that high ankle sprain as a rookie and he tried to play through it? He wasn't quite the same player when he came back from that. And then you get into 2020 and you of course change offensive coordinators, right? You move on, you go away from the pure, zone blocking scheme, and all of a sudden Dalton Risner's in something he's not as comfortable with. Remember, he was drafted to be a part of a zone blocking scheme, which is why he's done pretty well in Minnesota. He bounced up there last year. They re-signed him in the offseason. They're running the Shanahan-McVay offense. Rich Gangarello came in with the Broncos, and they drafted Dalton Risner. he was drafted to work in a Shanahan-McVay offense.
Yep. Holy Diver says top 10 O-line coming up. Brother, it was there last year.
3rd in run block win rate, 8th in pass block win rate, according to ESPN and ESPN Analytics. So.
Yep. And you can blame how many percentage of the snap or the sacks on Russell Wilson? 75%?
Not that high, but it was high. It was significant. Remember, toward the end of the season, figured out that if you went by the Pro Football Focus data, a higher percentage of sacks were on the quarterback for the Broncos than any other team in the league.
Right.
So
there you go. And Bo we trust is what Noble says in the chat room.
In Bo, you have to trust long term. McGlinchey had a heck of a comment today on Bo Nix too, talking about how he doesn't make the same mistake twice.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I like that, and that's what you need. That kind of matches what Sean Payton has said. He is a fast learner.
Yes.
And I like what Bo Nix said the other day when quarterbacks talked is like, hey, it's on me to be ready. It's their job to get ready. It's on me to be ready. And, well, let's play it. Actually, we didn't play it the other day, Mace. Let's play Nix. And this is him on talking about accepting the number 2 job.
Well, I don't know if I have a choice on that one, if I accept it or not. If I want to stick around, I better accept it. But I also don't necessarily want to become complacent and say, you know what, it's my rookie year. I'm okay with sitting back and hanging out and learning. I have full confidence and trust in these coaches and this team. They'll play me when I'm ready, and I'm going to do my best to get ready. And so that's all I can do. But I also think you owe it and respect the other guys who are in the competition. They also want to be the starter too, and they also, are going to have to accept what happens. So it's not an easy thing, but at the same time, we're all mature, and we've all been here, done that before. And so whatever they decide, that's what we're going with. But we're all just giving it our best right now.
A lot of maturity in that response.
Perspective from a young man, right? Where he's like, it's on me because my teammates are trying to win the job too, and I don't want to let them down with a poor performance.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
he's talked about that. It's a very almost worldly in his thinking for a young player.
Well, remember, this is where the whole thing of getting kicked in the teeth at Auburn really
wasn't great, Bob.
Comes into play. The Auburn film probably would have gotten him drafted in the 7th round, if that. Like he would have gotten drafted late based on some skills, some attributes, but he was a bit of a rebuild project when he got to Oregon, no doubt. And then first game he played Oregon, it was terrible. The Ducks got destroyed. He was ineffective. It was back against an SEC opponent, and so it's like, I guess he's the same old Bo. Well, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Turned out he wasn't the same old Bo. You watched him a month later. He looked like a different quarterback, and it's why you have hope for him in this scheme, because there are common threads between the Oregon offense he was running and the Bronco offense, in particular, the element of the quarterback as point guard, as distributor, as in, okay, just get to the open man, and then we'll figure it out from there. Now, I do like we talked about earlier. I do like the fact that he's testing it vertically from time to time, although we didn't really see that today. Still want to see him push it down the field and try to open things up that way too.
Okay, there you go. Clayton says he's headed to the Brewers game.
Yeah, it's Brewers Braves tonight. As I was joking with Parker Gabriel, who's a Brewers fan, I said it's the biggest series of the year.
There you go.
If I were not at training camp, I would be at American Family Field, formerly known as Miller Park. I wish they'd never changed the name. I would be there tonight if I were not at training camp.
Okay.
Sitting there with with a cold pop and a scorecard, and enjoying baseball.
Training camp takes over our lives, Mace.
I know.
Like,
I know.
I don't know what day it is. We were talking about
Monday.
San Diego Comic-Con, and you're like, have you ever been? I'm like, nope, it's training camp. Training camp. So you'd have been at a baseball game. I'd have been at San Diego Comic-Con, but it's training camp, so we're there. Who wants to miss training camp?
I haven't missed a training camp in a long time. Although the 2020 COVID season, when it was like a limited access to camp, and we like where I was working, we had one credential and had to be divided 3 ways. I hated that.
Yep. We've been through it all. We've watched it all, and we're there for you. Our camp reports at denversports.com. Video reports, video interviews, Denver Sports on Twitter, and of course, like us on Facebook too. But Mace, I think we got OBT2 defensive show.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, Mace, people need to help us out on YouTube. How do they do that?
Like,
comment,
share,
subscribe,
hit that notification bell
so that you never miss a vid. That's right.
Different tone there.
He's Andrew Mason. You follow him on all the socials at Mace Denver. I'm at Cecil Lammey saying OBT's BFD. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Stay frosty.